Happy Saturday, Broncos country. We're getting ready for a tremendous AFC West divisional round first game of the season. I'm excited. I know Joey and Zach are excited as well. We want to welcome you to Let's Talk Broncos, where we're getting ready for a special Saturday game preview. Guys, how are you?
I'm doing good. I had a very quiet day today. I even took a nap, which is very rare for me. It's something I don't really do. But I did. I woke up. I went upstairs. None of my friends were there. I went back downstairs and fell back asleep until like 1. So here I am. I've been kind of in a funk the entire day. We were just talking about this before, but it's like when you take a nap for the rest of the day, it feels like you just woke up. I'm sitting here like 5 hours after, and it still feels like I just woke up right now. So, I'm here on the podcast, though, which gets me amped up. I'm ready for it.
Let's go. Zach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just broke out the Xbox 360, and I've been playing some NCAA Football 14 for like the first time in years. It's been awesome. Got my living situation sorted for good now. Excited about that. And yeah, just all around good vibes. Feeling pretty confident about the upcoming game too. After reviewing it.
That reminds me, if any of our listeners has Rock Band from back in the day, let me know. I'm willing to take that off your hands.
I think the last time I moved, I got rid of mine. Otherwise, I'd hit you up on that. I might still have the guitar.
Big mistake, Bri. Big mistake. Go look up online on how much Rock Band and all that equipment costs nowadays. It's like out of this world.
I'm pretty sad about it because I love that game, but I'd be willing to part with it for some change. I've also had a tremendous day. I want to give big shouts out to my mom, Jana. Happy birthday. It is on Monday, but we went out to dinner tonight. Just got to spend some time with her. She asked for the link to the show, so I sent it to her. So she better be watching, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
Shout out to her.
Shout outs to mom.
Shout out.
Fantastic. We're going to get straight into it about how excited you may or may not be for this game on Sunday. I think a lot of us have a little bit of hesitations here, but we're going to talk about what to watch for, who's going to be the player of the game, some score predictions peppered throughout, and then as always, we're going to get to the Joey question of the day. That's later, so make sure you stick with us. What team on – Frankie wants to know what team on NCAA 14.
Yeah, USC. Just I'm doing Road to Glory still in high school right now. Getting offers from USC and some really good schools that I definitely would be interested in. But I kind of think I want to go to Iowa State and like carry them to a national championship. That kind of sounds fun to me right now. So right now I'm thinking bring a title to Ames.
You need to rewrite CU history, Zach. That's what you need to do.
That is probably what I should do. Go there, save them from it all.
Exactly.
I thought you were going to go in a different direction there, Joey. I know you're starting a little bit of beef with the Colorado football teams here. We won't get into that, but we will get into
CU's a real football team. We're not talking about the School of Mines, which is an absolute joke.
Okay. You know what's crazy is none of them are the real football team, and Mines is even
less.
That's
true, but Mines, you're not the exception to the rules. You don't count.
No.
If you were wondering how Frankie was able to get on the show, you got to hop on over from Twitter where you're watching right now, get on Facebook or YouTube, submit your comments and your questions there. I'll get them highlighted on the screen. Let's jump into it, guys. Zach, what should Broncos country be looking for during Sunday's matchup against the Raiders?
Yeah, I think the number one thing I'm watching for is who gets right in the red zone. You look at this Raiders defense, they are the 30th red zone defense, and the Broncos are the 32nd red zone offense. Their red zone offense is worse than a lot of teams' normal offense in terms of a points per drive basis, which is fucking ridiculous. I cannot wrap my head around how terrible that is. Sorry, Joey. Are you doing the Doug Peterson? Just absolutely unacceptable how bad their red zone offense has been. And the Raiders' red zone defense has been equally as bad. So one of them has to get right this week.
Who's the worst?
Hopefully, yeah. I think it'll probably be the Broncos. I think we saw, I mean, it was only one possession, but like maybe some signs of them figuring some things out in that fourth quarter and in that one red zone possession. Meanwhile, I just think the Raiders have a talent deficiency. It's not like they aren't clicking. I think that was something about the Gus Bradley defense. I think it limits a team's defensive ceiling. But the Raiders don't have a lot of defensive talent. What that really simplistic scheme did was it raised everyone's floor because it allowed them to play fast and free. That's not Patrick Graham's defensive system. I think he's a much better coach. It's a much more complex defensive scheme, and I don't know if they have the talent to execute it. I think the Broncos will get right in the red zone, but that's something I want to watch for sure.
Definitely interesting. Definitely something to look for. I like it's like the battle of the two worst. That's crazy. I didn't even realize that both of them were like that. Had no idea. Hopefully the Broncos do get on track there. Hey, the Broncos could score a lot more points if they could just finish in the red zone, right? Like that's a huge deal. Last game, the Broncos weren't able to drive the ball, but the prior two, they were able to drive the ball pretty well. I hope the Broncos get back on that path, and if they're able to punch it in, the Broncos offense isn't looking nearly as bad as we're all talking about it to this point. So that's a huge thing. I hope that this is maybe even like a propelling ground, right? If this is the worst red zone defense, it's a good game to build up confidence. It's a really good game to build up confidence. If you're able to get, some red zone drives in and punch it in for 6, it could carry on through the other games. And I hope that is able to happen. Interesting point there.
So you're telling me, Joey, the Broncos just have to score more points than the Las Vegas Raiders. It sounds like it could potentially happen. Denver's defense has been showing up the last couple of games, and I know that we're just looking to kind of hold the Raiders to fewer. And I know it sounds silly, but that's really what's going to have to happen here. If the offense doesn't click like we're hoping that it will, for my player of the game, I think that that'll help some. But I'm looking at the cornerbacks and the secondary for the Las Vegas. I'm not really worried about them. I think that the Broncos have a potential to use this as a make it or break it game. Although I know we've been talking a lot about the run game opening up and hoping that also clicks to a certain extent. The offense needs this game to get right, but my entire week has been spent with the Vegas neon sign kind of flashing in my head. They're backed into a corner. They're 0-3. McDaniels is on the hot seat. And so it just worries me that this game is going to get away from the Broncos if they're not able to come out quick. The defense is going to do their job. Is the offense going to do enough?
Yeah. It's a great point. Is it going to do enough? That's really the question. Like there's no evidence to this point showing that the Broncos are taking the next step on offense, but just looking at other teams, I guess, that's kind of what gives you hope that they will at some point do that. I think that, I don't know. So how many more, can I kind of alter off this real quick? Is that okay with you guys?
Could I make one point on it really quick first?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
I do think, just to what Joey's saying, the points for optimism, I think with the offense, much of it, if I were to argue for optimism with this offense, I'd say how well they moved the ball in the first game and then just failed to convert in the red zone. I'd point to the fourth quarter and then looking like maybe they started to click. I'd point to those are the only on-team examples. And then I'd point to, the other veteran quarterbacks that have gone through extreme changes, Rodgers with LaFleur coming on board, and then Brady and Stafford, as well as just every offense in the league right now, except for like 5 or 6, struggling to a great deal. And it being a lot of what defenses are throwing at them right now. And we're seeing so many offenses struggle with it that hopefully the Broncos are just one of those teams and they'll get things sorted sooner.
Okay. You're right. That is the point for optimism. I'm curious with you guys. I think Bri is already concerned about this offense. Am I right in that, Bri?
Oh, yeah. I'm concerned about it too.
So, but I think like if we were to rank it, Bri's probably the most concerned, right? And then you're less concerned.
I think I came in a little bit more concerned and it's tumbled from there. So I think I am a little bit more than Zach. Okay.
Yeah. So Zach, I'm curious, at what point at what week if this continues with the Broncos offense where they're not able to turn it around, are we in panic mode? Like, this is not a good trade we made. This Hackett situation isn't working out. At what week does that happen for you if the offense continues to stumble?
I think it's like they've got the bye in week 9. I think it's week 11. You saw the Bucs be up and down and inconsistent really that whole first half of the year with Brady. With Rodgers, it was his whole first year. I don't think the Wilson thing is going to be like Rodgers, but those two cases right there are, and it's not like the Bucs had a really early bye week in 2020 either. Those are two strong cases for a little bit of patience with the offensive adjustments. If you go to the bye, and I think the bye is a great chance to get this stuff sorted. The Broncos have a fairly late bye with it coming in week 9, so they won't be able to take advantage of that for a while. But if we see them come out of the bye and they stumble in week 10, they stumble in week 11, and I think those are against not the best opponents either. Let me pull it up really quick.
Are you talking about the Panthers into the Raiders? It would be right before the Chiefs play Denver.
Yes, I think you're right. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It'd be like after that second Raiders game, I think, or maybe that Panthers game. If they're still stumbling and looking sketchy then against like a bad Raiders defense the second time around, then I think you're getting concerned. I think you could still probably talk your way into it after this season and just be like, hey, we saw Rodgers struggle after a year. I don't think I'd be one of those people. But yeah, it's wild because I don't know what you do. I don't know if you can sweep out the coaching staff after a year unless it stays as disastrous as it was the first 2 games. And I don't think that'll be the case with Rosberg coming in. I don't know. It's tough, but I'd say around week 11 is the game I've circled.
I think it's less than me, and then I think it's even less than Bri. I think my week is probably like week 7, week 8. Like, I need to see like some major improvements because that week, if it stayed on the path of that week 1, week 2, the Broncos are in serious trouble this year. like they're not going to be a good football team if their one side of the ball is completely dragging them down.
I don't think I was able. Sorry, go ahead.
That's different for me. If we're talking about like concerned about the Broncos for this year, if they don't have it sorted in the next like 3 weeks, it's going to be pretty concerning because it's, right. I don't know, you can't have your defense carry you this much, and them leaning so hard into like the bad Russell Wilson stuff is pretty concerning. And if they can't get that sorted, whatever. As far as like, oh my God, this trade was a disaster, I want to see the bye week and see if they can lean more into Russell's strengths and get that sorted there. I don't know. I feel comfortable giving them at least like a game or 2 after the bye.
That second Raiders game, November 20th, is when I'm going to start panicking for this season in general. And that really ties into whether or not I'm bought in on this trade. And that's just unfortunately how my mind works. It's how I came into the season. So I don't think that I'm so much salvageable as the rest of Broncos country who's going to look for a turnaround after this year. I don't think an entire year of football is necessarily what you were hoping for when you made a blockbuster trade like you did in order to see some comfort there. And I'm not saying that that's what we're going to see. It's just the worst case scenario. And it's kind of how my brain functions, is I'm more of a pessimist than anything when it comes to a lot of things. So I'm a little worried by November 20th in that Raiders game, that home game. I really don't want to sit through a loss there.
Totally.
Yeah, Zach.
Oh, sorry. I was waving at Samuel. He came in the comments and was like, hey, what's up, guys? So
I just missed that. Hi, Samuel. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday episode. We're previewing the Raiders and Broncos matchup. If you're watching over on Twitter, jump on over to Facebook and YouTube and get your questions and comments highlighted. Right now, Zach put a little teaser out there on what to watch for and hoping the offense really changes things up. Joey, did you have anything to add there or anything else you want to say for Broncos country to watch out for on Sunday?
Not really, just that it's like a massive thing for the Broncos. I kind of said this earlier, but like the red zone offense is terrible so far. They need to figure it out. And Yeah, that's all I really have. Was that, like, hopefully that this Raiders game, being that they're the worst red zone defense, it could maybe be like propel the Broncos in other games if they really succeed in this one. Kind of give them that confidence they need. Maybe, I don't know, just something to think about there.
I'm really hoping that they do score more touchdowns. That's kind of the name of the game here, and that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm really excited that could be potential, but also when you start throwing out all those red flags of the Raiders organization, that tells you exactly how dire the need is to win here. If the Broncos aren't able to pull it out, the Raiders get their first win of the season, then we're going to have another week of going, okay, what went wrong and how do they fix it? I don't think there's a whole lot going on here to where you can just instantly fix this issue. To do so against the Las Vegas Raiders is not only a blow to the pride, it's a blow to what you thought was the case and what is no longer doing so. So I think what to watch for, you guys covered on all of that. I don't think that there's too much more to hop on there, but go ahead, Zach. What would you like to?
Just a thing, and maybe I should save this for the end, but I think it is just something to keep in mind. Broncos can change. It's not even about the Broncos being a great team. They can set themselves up beautifully in the AFC West with a win this week. You look at how beat up the Chargers are right now. Fortunately for them, they get an easy game against the Texans. But the Chiefs have a weird game against the Buccaneers where they're still not sure where that game's going to be played. I don't know and the Buccaneers are a good team. I think I'd pick the Chiefs in that one, but if the Chiefs lose that, the Broncos have a game on everyone in the AFC or in the AFC West rather. And their upcoming opponents are the Colts at home on a short week. Thursday Night Football always favors the home opponent, or home field advantage is exacerbated. Broncos then get a beat up Chargers team on Monday night. They'll have a lot of rest between that Colts game and the Chargers game to get healthy themselves. Then they get the Jets. Then they get the Jags in London. That's a real test. You get the Titans, who have looked really questionable. Then you'll get the Raiders again. Then you get the Panthers, and then things get tough for a final 6-game stretch. But there's totally a world where if the offense just becomes decent, not even good, but just not bad, decent, and you have the defense playing at the level they've been playing at, you could be looking at a 8-2 Broncos team, 7-2 Broncos team. And at that point, I don't know, you're in such a good spot to make the wild card. It would really take a collapse to miss the playoffs. And that's certainly possible, given how hard the schedule is and what this coaching staff has shown. But I don't know. I think if the Broncos can get through this game with another win, there's a lot of reason for excitement in Broncos country.
Yeah, Zach, you mentioned the Tampa KC game. Just to let everyone know, I picked KC in a 3-game parlay, so I definitely expect Tampa to win. That's all.
That's hysterical. Thanks, Joey, for that level of advice. Don't tell Joey's bets. That's the lesson here, Broncos country. Let's hop right into it. Player of the game. Who are we choosing? Zach, throwing it over to you.
I'm doubling down on my big bet. Watch our last show. We do a fun little bold predictions wager show, and I predicted that Patrick Surtain II is going to hold Devontae Adams under 30 receiving yards. And I'm sticking to that. If that happens, Patrick Surtain is 100% the player of the game. That would be a remarkable performance.
Do you think Surtain follows him though?
I don't know. They're playing that really close to the chest.
Because they put Adams everywhere. They'll put him in the slot.
So Surtain was saying this week, though, that he feels comfortable across the board. To me, that kind of told me that he's willing to travel.
Well, we saw it against Metcalf. He traveled with Metcalf for so much of that game, if not the whole game. I kind of think they will have him snow melt. I think they will. Yo, Jana. Shout out Jana. I think they will. Sorry, lost my train of thought. I think they will have him just because Hunter Renfro's out of this game. I guess Mac Hollins has proven to be a real threat. And Ronald Darby's been so good that I think you could just let everyone play where they're most comfortable. That's the great thing about this secondary and how they're playing right now. You have the luxury of attacking it so many different ways. It's not like we need Patrick Surtain to travel with this guy. So I don't know.
also there's other ways to attack a number one receiver. It's not just put your number one corner on him. A lot of teams like the Patriots and a lot of NFL teams always just will put the 2, bracket him with the safety, and then have the 1 on the other team's wide receiver too.
Do you remember what that's called again? I'm spacing on the name.
I don't know. I just know it is bracketing a player.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you both say that?
There's some name for it, but I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, it's a brilliant strategy. It like double the other team's number 1 and then use your number 1 to take out their number 2. It's a Belichick classic.
Don't you think that the secondary has been playing so tremendously that there's not really a worry on who they put out there in coverage? Like, I'm not expecting there to be a whole lot of lapse in coverage out there.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's a huge thing that you just said, Bri. I think Surtain's taking a lot of credit, and he deserves it. He's playing out of his mind. He's like unbelievable player. You guys went to training camp a lot more than I did. And you guys both were saying it all through training camp, how good Patrick Surtain looks, right? But hey, don't take away from Ronald Darby just because Patrick Surtain's playing that good, right? That's what the Broncos fans have to know is Ronald Darby is balling right now. He is absolutely balling as well. I don't feel like terribly worse putting Ronald Darby on another team's number 1. I don't, just be the way he's playing right now. Really good football player.
He's playing like a number 1 corner. He's playing like a top 10 corner in the league right now. It's really impressive. And now that we've seen 3 games of it, who knows if that continues throughout the whole season, but seeing how good Cortland Sutton's looked, top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards. He's second right now in effective yardage, which is an advanced analytic that uses DVOA. And it's really reliable. You look at like the top 5 guys over the last 2 years, and it's like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. Like it's a good metric. Right now, he's second in the league. And then you see how good Patrick Surtain's looking, and it makes me look back on getting to watch those training camp matchups so fondly because, like, man, that's cool getting to see 2 elite talents like that go head to head, even if it was so one-sided.
Totally.
Zach, you just called out my player of the game. I'm going offense for the first time in a long while. I'm going with Cortland Sutton. Not only has he been on fire, the chemistry with Russell Wilson is starting to build. I think that if the offense does have a game, Cortland Sutton is going to be a huge part of this. Tremendous. I think first touchdown score. We made that bet last week, or last show. And so I think the cards are falling into place here in Vegas, and I think Sutton stands to have a pretty decent game. If it's not going to be the running back, it's going to be him at wide receiver. I'm excited to see what his production looks like. I think he's going to carry this offense, and I think if Russell Wilson can find him, and I'm not really worried about the Raiders defense, I think this could be a really tremendous game for him. Just going to solidify that. It's not all talk. How do you feel about that one?
I think it's a great pick. I mean, Cortland Sutton is. Zach, you're the numbers guy, right? And I know you've said this a couple times, so maybe I'm hoping not to put you on the spot here, but you have thrown out some really good Cortland Sutton numbers where he ranks in the league with receiving yards and stuff like that. Do you know that off the top of your head or no?
Yeah, so he's 5th right now in yards, and then he's 3rd in DVOA and 2nd in E yardage. So what DVOA does is it looks at situation and it compares how players perform. It's, I think, the best advanced metric out there. It's fantastic. And then what E yards does is it takes DVOA and applies it on a per play basis. So like I think Mac Hollins right now is 1st in DVOA, but he hasn't played a lot. So he ranks poorly in E yards because he doesn't, it's a small sample size. It's being inflated. So I love E yards, and it's proven really well. If you look at my article, 3 numbers you need to know for the Broncos Raiders game, milehighsports.com. If you're watching this on Facebook, scroll down to Mile High Sports. Should be easy to find. I have it in there. But yeah, he ranks 2nd in E yards right now. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but it's not too far off his actual yardage. And if you look at the last 2 years, guys who have been great in E yards are the guys we would all agree are the best receivers in the NFL. A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs is always high up there. And there's not like a name. It's not like some other analytics where you're like, oh, that name doesn't make sense. It's all the best guys. And to see Cortland Sutton ranked 2nd there right now, he's sandwiched between like Stephon Diggs, not Jamar Chase, because he's not having the best year right now, but like Stephon Diggs. I'm trying to think who else is up there. I can't off the top of my head, but yeah, he's looking fantastic right now. I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, and to Bri's, like, those numbers back up what Bri's kind of saying here. Like, he's been the one consistent piece of that Broncos offense, game in and game out. I could throw Javonte Williams in there as well. He's been pretty good. But I think Cortland Sutton, for a lot of inconsistencies at wide receiver this year, he's been that one shining spot on the whole entire offense where it's like, I know what I'm getting from him game in and game out. No question about it. Cortland Sutton's going to go out there and have a pretty good game. He's going to ball out. He's going to play good. So I think that's a good pick, Bri. I think that's a really good pick. Especially, you highlighted it. You said that this Raiders defense hasn't pinned up the par, and Cortland Sutton is right now the best Broncos offensive player. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and another reason I love this pick is beyond Cortland Sutton. This Raiders secondary is really beat up right now. You have three players two of the top three corners currently listed as questionable for that game. That's a big problem for them. And then you have four of their five starting defensive backs were on the injury report this week. That's insane. It's a very beat up unit. This is a get right week for the Broncos offense.
Love it. Joey, who's your player of the game? Well, you're muted, so I guess you don't really want to tell us.
Pop. Cool. Thanks, guys. Wow. Okay. I'm going to continue to rock with the same guy I did last week. I've been hyping him up on this podcast every single time I get on here, pretty much. I'm going with Randy Gregory. I'm going to go with Randy Gregory again. I love Randy Gregory. I love his personality, everything about him. But we're talking about on the field right now. Randy Gregory is going to tee off against a Raiders offensive tackle that's not very great. And he is going to continue playing at this extremely high level that we've seen him at. We saw it last year. I just got to throw that out there for all the people that hated. And we saw it last year, and we're continuing to see it this year. Randy Gregory is a monster of an outside linebacker and pass rusher. He's going to cause a lot of issues for this Raiders offense. It's really just going to come down to if the Broncos can contain their run a little bit, and hopefully this Broncos D-line has even more opportunities to tee off with a good offensive performance. So I'm kind of leaning on Zach's point here. If the Broncos are able to put up points, I don't see why Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory and Draymond Jones and all those front four guys can't get even better when they're able to pin their ears back and go. They don't have to worry about all the clock stuff the other offense is trying to do, right? If the Broncos play with a lead, you're going to see Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory even play better. So that's what I'm excited to see right now. I'm really excited to see Randy Gregory, and that's my player of the game.
I'm really glad you brought that up. He's just been a super exciting player to watch. Sorry not to interrupt you, Zach. I just wanted to touch on the fan point of view of all of this. Is he's been a fast-growing priority here in Broncos country. It's a shame it took people this long. I think there was a little bit of hesitation, but he's so exciting. Not only that, he's a funny dude. He's got one hell of a character. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, if you don't love Randy Gregory, get yourself some help, Broncos country. Find someone to warm your cold, dark soul, because that man is so lovable. Seeing him in the locker room, I don't have a favorite Broncos player that I love more right now. This guy is incredible, and he's only been around for a short period of time, but like his energy is undeniable in the locker room. It's I don't know, you fall in love with him quick, and he's such a great talent. The story, of course, is remarkable there too as well. And I will say this Raiders offensive line is second worst among the Broncos' four opponents so far. So Raiders, 49ers, Seahawks, Texans. This Raiders is second worst only to the Seahawks in terms of pressure rate and in terms of pass rush win rate allowed, that is. So I guess it's pass block win rate. So I'm really, really excited to see this Broncos defensive front, a weaker Raiders offensive front, hopefully go to town, especially if they're playing with a lead, to Joey's.
Yeah. I just wanted to point this out. Zach, you'll be a fan of this comment. Raiders' demise is Josh McDaniels. That again is from my mother.
Jana's the goat, man. Jana's the
I know
goat.
she just gets it at a high level. I appreciate it. I actually get my Broncos love from her, so appreciate that, Mom. Josh Free says, I think we'll have to play a lot of man coverage instead of the usual soft zone at the beginning. Derek Carr is the best in the league at getting the ball out quickly. Actually, I need a fact check here. Is Derek Carr's release time that good? I know Zach will be able to
give me a second and I'll pull it up.
Thank you. Joey, how do you feel about this comment?
From my angle, it seems like the Raiders every single year coming up to this, every single year the Broncos play the Raiders, everyone's screaming where the pass rush is, and I'm always yelling back, they don't have time to get to the passer. they have. Historically, through these last couple of years, they've been getting the ball out of Carr's hands fast in a hurry. They've been offsetting, and there's upsides to that, right? It's all to completely throw away the Broncos pass rush. It doesn't matter what they're going to do, because if you're throwing screens, you're running the ball, you're controlling the clock, quick passes, it's going to completely take the Broncos pass rush or any pass rush out of their zone.
All right, this is fantastic. Okay, looking at time to throw in the league. Fastest to get the ball out is Tom Brady, 2.22. Second is Cooper Rush at 2.34 seconds. Then Davis Mills is ranked third fastest, 2.39. Jimmy Garoppolo is ranked fourth with a nearly identical 2.4 seconds. Geno Smith, down the list of ways, ranked ninth, 2.56 seconds. And then you get to Derek Carr at 2.58. Point being, Derek Carr does get rid of the ball fast, but every single quarterback the Broncos have played so far gets the ball out faster. And Davis Mills and Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a thing that you can demonstrate over, I guess Davis Mills, that's only 2 years of his career, but you can demonstrate over the course of their careers. They are also very fast out with the ball. You saw Davis Mills harassed by this defensive front. You saw Jimmy Garoppolo harassed by this defensive front. Derek Carr holds onto the ball longer than both of those two guys, at least in this McDaniels system so far. And his offensive line is protecting him worse than those two guys. So a good recipe for this pass rush to eat.
Totally.
Yeah, thanks for looking that up. I was actually very curious about that. Josh Fries, we appreciate you chiming in, giving us your comments there. I do believe that you still have to be a little cognizant of that, though. Derek Carr can sometimes be sneakily, or shall I say, unwittingly good at certain points. It's like a roller coaster. You're just riding the wave, man. Sorry, Raiders fans. I just I had to throw that out there. Guys, let's move on to score predictions, shall we?
Go ahead.
Perfect. Zach, go first.
Ooh, okay. I do think
first.
the offense gets rolling this week. I think the defense is going to be pretty locked down too against what is a very talented Raiders offense. I don't see – so there's been so much talk about the trap game stuff this week, and I guess there's like an element of that, but I just think this Raiders team is finding ways to lose games, and there should be some credit given to that. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, like, yes, they have looked better, but they keep losing these games for a reason, and the offense is struggling greatly right now. The defense is very bad. Just about everyone on the team is either playing below expectation or at expectation. And those areas that are at expectation are like the defense, which was expected to be bad. I think the Broncos roll in this one. 27-13, Broncos win.
Damn. All right, Zach, I like it. I like the confidence, man. Okay, I'm gonna continue on my role of picking the Broncos to lose, so they hope that so they win. I'm gonna go 17 Raiders, 13 Broncos.
All right. That's not bad. I got confused the way that you delivered that. It wasn't the traditional score prediction. So I'm going 24-17. Which is a little bit less close than I would have actually predicted it, but I do think the offense gets enough done. I don't think it'll be all the way. I don't think it's going to be the Broncos blowing out the Raiders. I think Mile High Prophet predicted 41-9, which is a little too rich for my blood. I don't buy into it just yet. I think they'll be able to in a battle of the Broncos defense once again pulling it off in a late touchdown win for Russell Wilson. I just don't think it'll be a dominant win, but I do think the Broncos pull it off.
There you go.
There we go. I like it. Anybody wants to drop their predictions in, they can in the chat. We'll get them highlighted. But it's that time of the evening, folks. It's Joey's question of the day.
Let's go. Joey's question of the day.
Joey's question of the day, brought to you by Jana.
So in 2008, Peyton Hillis ended up getting the starting job for the Broncos. How many running backs went down that season before he ended up getting his first starting role?
And
Madden Legend Hillis.
Three.
Madden Legend. 3?
I'm going to say 5.
Oof.
This is crazy. It's 7 running backs went down before Peyton Hillis was able to get his start. Yeah.
Do you have the names? Do you know do you have everyone who did?
I don't.
I really should have predicted more than
Joey,
3.
I can look it up quick.
3 was not
2010?
enough.
Was it 2010?
2008.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah. Hillis with 348 rushing yards in 2008. Injuries forced the Broncos through 7 running backs that season. Pretty crazy. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Yeah. Peyton Hillis, man, though. Madden legend. Can we talk about it?
The floor is yours.
The reason they got rid of the fan vote.
That was the year they did the fan vote. And he won the fan vote.
Because they did a 32-team thing, and I think it was 4chan got a hold of it and was like, we're voting this guy to win it all. And so they did.
I thought it was hilarious that year. I remember this year, I remember voting on this, right? Every team had an offensive and defensive player.
You, like 11?
I don't know how young I was, but I was definitely young. I remember voting on this. Every team had an offensive and defensive player you can vote for, and it was like a bracket, and then it all came down to one. The Raiders that year, and this is why I remember this so vividly, their offensive player was Janikowski, and then their the kicker, and then their defensive player was Leckler, the punter. I thought that was hilarious at the time. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Telling.
Telling.
No, it really is. Well, it's been a fantastic evening, as always, on a special Saturday episode. The Broncos play tomorrow. I think we all have high hopes for this game, at least for the most part. Being optimistic is a little bit hard, but I don't think it's too late for them to turn it around. We've given you a lot of reasons to be optimistic. We've given you a lot of reasons why the offense can get a little bit better, and we want to say thank you and cheers to you, Broncos country. Gentlemen, where can everybody find your work?
Yeah, everyone go follow me at JR Drafts. Follow my writing at Mile High Sports. Make sure you're tuning in on Twitter for the Twitter Spaces that Frankie and I do at halftime. We will be back during this halftime. Those are my 3 things. There you guys go.
Love it.
Yeah, check me out, Zach_Seegers. I'll have a game recap up Monday. Really proud of how those have been coming out. So check that out. And then, yeah, just subscribe to the podcast, share it, tell a friend. All that stuff helps so much. And I also got to say, shout out to Jana once again for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. I know this is probably your first time watching the show. And I just have to say, your daughter, superstar, carrying the team, host extraordinaire. She has, I mean, I wish you could see the body of work. That's number 1. Number 2, what's it like getting brunch with Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan's mom every week? Is that weird? That's the type of talent you've raised. But yeah, that'll get me out of here. Make Bri uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable and now I gotta go. Follow me over on Twitter, BruMaestis303. You can catch all of my work over on Mile High Sports. Most importantly, here with the Let's Talk Broncos crew every weekday, well, except for Thursdays. You can catch us on special Saturday episodes at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You can also see me on the Fan Cave on Mondays, 1 to 2 p.m. That's Mile High Sports Radio, 98.1 FM. It's been a fun evening. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you, especially you, Zach and Joey. Let's have a good evening. Let's go Broncos and let's ride.